Patrick McCoy. Item number 2 is comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items not on the agenda. Alrighty, seeing none, we'll move on to item 3A, which is our borough manager report.
I had a brief report to deliver to the committee that highlights a few things that happened in the last month. We had an opportunity to go on a field trip to our 2 wastewater treatment plants and meet with Willistown resource conservationists from Willistown Conservation Trust to look at our lawn areas at those 2 facilities as possible candidates for conversion to meadow. And they were very excited about that. And it looks like that might bloom into a partnership where Willistown Conservation Trust has been awarded a Pennsylvania grant, I believe from DCNR, to establish and convert 50 acres of lawn in the region to meadow. And we're in their service area, and they're very excited about to partner with a public entity. So we've got some good locations at both plants that we can do something with. We're also checking to make sure we can take some pollution reduction plan credit, even though it's outside borough limits, if we make improvements to our 2 stormwater basins at those locations. So on the personnel front, I wanted to congratulate one of the members of our building and housing team. He's not here tonight, but Judson Bullock achieved certification as a building code official, which means he knows and understands how to administer plan reviews and notices of violation and all the things that go into running a building code department. So we congratulate him for his interest in professional development, and we really look forward to putting those skills to use in our department. So congratulations, Judd, on that one. I also had an occasion to, with John Krauser and Ramsey Reiner, to visit the Westchester University Job Fair on February 15th, where we got to meet for a couple hours with students who were interested in internships and employment in the government, local government sector. So that was a lot of fun. And lastly, I just want to make a point that this is the year of contracts for the management team. Myself, John Krauser, Jim Moorhead, and Steve Pelna are all deep into thinking about and planning for 3 major contracts we have to work through this year. On the police side, of course, our labor contract is getting going. And we also have our service contract with our neighboring township, East Bradford Township, for police services. If you didn't know, Westchester Borough operates a regional police force, and we provide policing services to East Bradford Township at a contracted rate. Then lastly, we also operate a regional fire service with our 3 firehouses. We partner with 5 municipalities, providing fire protection services over an area of a population of roughly greater than 40,000 people. So that contract is coming due at the end of this year, and we're working really hard to get ready to do that. And we've scheduled out our timing for that process as well, and I will keep council informed on those items. That's all I have for you this evening.
Any questions?
No.
Same. Thank you for that report. Any public comment or concern? Okay, great. Seeing none, we'll move on to item 3B, which is our CIO quarterly report.
Okay, so this year I'm going to try to do quarterly reports as opposed to a monthly report and so forth. So prepare for excitement. Okay. So these are each month I give a monthly report to the borough manager's office. It's just, I try to kind of take this information from those reports. So here I'm just going to talk real quickly about projects that we're working on throughout the year in their particular stage right now. The website has been refreshed, so that's complete. We're still doing some work on the back end with data and cleaning it up. We're working on expanding our 2-factor authentication right now. If it's in progress, that means we're actually working on it right now. We're completing work on our new disaster recovery. This is our on-premise and cloud backup services. We moved to a new service this year. We're completing work on some redundant phones for police dispatch using the Microsoft Teams platform. We actually have the data inspector installed, and we're starting to test that. And this is the one that will scan our data for personal identifiable information and allow us to make some decisions in-house. So we're working on that. We're still planning with HP and CDW the host server replacements. And also Borough Council acoustical treatments. I'm still in the very early stages working on this one. And then, of course, we're assisting Nick and data with the property information system, which is Brightly, and the asset management system, which is Cardiograph. So these are two big projects that we're working hand in hand with Nick. Unscheduled events, these are always, interesting. These are not help desk tickets. These are not projects. These are things that just come up over those 2 or 3 months of the quarterly report, like to, report on. We've had a couple of HVAC incidents in the server room where the temperature spikes requiring us to come in and check that out. The Public Works, our NAS server, had some issues. We had to rebuild the operating system. This very laser projector decided to be really loud in January, so we had to have them come out and they just cleaned it. The security cameras in the police department decided one night to go upside down and stop recording. It looked like those vampires crawling on the ceiling when there were people on the floor. So we got that resolved. And lastly, we just finished up a problem with their CODI, which is the police department's record management system, was having some connectivity issues, which I believe was related to our new disaster recovery system. That's been resolved, I believe. Now here, I'm not going to read all these, but these are smaller initiatives. These are things that we're asked to do throughout the course of time that are not help desk tickets. They're not responding to a problem. These are just things like installing new security cameras. We assisted with providing online payment options for parking reservations. So now you can go online and pay to request parking spots in front of your business. And some other forms and other things. So I'm not going to read through all these, but these are just things that IT does that are not help desk related or project related. You see Ramsey's keeping us really busy this past couple months. Help desk, this is like one of the core functions, right? This is staff requesting all kinds of assistance on a day-to-day basis. So in January and February, there were 136 of these. But I always say this only captures about 70% of the actual day-to-day help IT provides. This is because staff will come into the office, they will call us, they will drag us to their computer, and sometimes that stuff this does not make it into the help desk system. And we're trying to do a better job accounting for some of that activity. So cybersecurity, these are some things that happened over the course of time in the past couple of months. So impersonation response, this is the automated AI service that Barracuda provides us by looking at narrative, looking at where emails coming from, making sure that it's correct and not a danger. So in January, so this is quarterly, but it's really January and February. So this occurred 79 times during those 2 months. Now, each of those times, although it was automated, Jeff or I have to go into the system and double check that. Incident response, this is one that I'm always very proud of. This is either the IT staff or regular staff reporting suspicious messages to us. So we go in there and we remediate and investigate those. So that shows a very active staff being aware of suspicious activity. Account takeover, this has happened once. This is when someone tries to break into one of our employees' accounts and the system sees it and stops it. Security awareness training. This is at least once a month we send out phishing messages to staff to see how they respond. So this is just showing that we did that twice, once in January, once in February. And then just coming up this Thursday will be our quarterly in-class training with our staff for security awareness training. And then, of course, Jeff and I meet every Friday and just talk about cybersecurity. It's my favorite time of the week. I'm not kidding, it really is. And just ongoing training and engagement. I'm very glad that last month I was able to recertify for the CGCIO certification, which is through Rutgers and CompTIA. So I'm done that for another 3 years. And this other engagements that we have through the month with other IT professionals within government to stay on top of these things. And then, real quickly, the IT budget is it's trending as expected. This kind of shows you all my all my line items, and you can see what the current spending is. Some of that spending is, might seem a little higher because we're only in the third month, but I plan out the spending. If it's if it's a monthly expense, I put that in the beginning so I don't go over. And some of our services we pay every 6 months, so you see half of the spending already. So that's about all I have. I dragged it out as long as I could. Don't be afraid to ask me any questions. I'm here for you.
Any questions?
None here, thanks.
I agree. Thank you. I appreciate it. Any public comments, questions, concerns? All righty, seeing none, we'll move on to 4A, which are our February meeting minutes. Any issues with those?
No.
All right, we can pass that on 3-0, and then item 5 is any other business. Mr. McGinnis.
Yeah, so I want to make a motion here that we amend the meeting rules and policy. It's currently stated that we, or whoever is using the meeting room, has to be done by 7 p.m. Eastern time. I feel that that's too early. 9 p.m., I believe, is more suitable. I believe that what it used to be in the past. And so I'd like to see that policy changed to 9 p.m. Eastern time.
All right, that makes sense. Have you, I'm trying to think, when did we put that policy into place? I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3?
It was actually recently, right? In January or last month?
I think it was last year in May or April. Council passed it, the resolution.
That's right, last May.
And what was the reasoning behind the 7 p.m. cutoff
I'll have
time?
to talk to my staff and get that answer for you. If the committee is recommending that hourly change, we can bring that information to everybody's attention on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. If you want to talk about it Tuesday with more information?
Perfect.
Sure, I think that makes sense. Any other business tonight? Sure,
I actually hear from the library board.
sure, coming up.
Hello, my name is Shannon McDonald. I'm the secretary on the library board. I'm also the chair of the community committee, and I am on the governance committee, which is what I'm here for today, the governance committee. So please don't ask me too much about these numbers that I'm about to use because I don't know enough. I'm not part of the finance committee. It was the governance committee's understanding from Dana DiDomenico that the borough wanted to advertise an open seat that is on the board currently. And we feel that this would not be a good idea to advertise it currently because that seat, we generally try to encourage the borough to appoint someone from Pocopson Township for that specifically. The bylaws for our board require 7 out of 13 seats be someone who lives or works in the borough. And currently we have 11 seats that are filled by someone who lives or works or both in the borough. I'm one of those. I live and work in the borough. So Pocopson has traditionally held one of our seats. They are one of our service areas, and they donate a fairly generous amount via their government to our, specifically to the library. So as you may be aware, the borough gives $105,000, give or take. It's a per capita allocation, is my understanding. Most of the townships, or most of the service areas, I guess you would say, give a per capita. So East Bradford, which is represented by Kelly over here, you were kind enough to appoint her very recently. East Bradford gives us about $10,000 a year. Pocopson gives us $9,000 a year. Just so you have an idea of what that means for us, Birmingham Township gives us $2,041. Thornbury gives us $3,230, and Westtown gives us $11,000. So we do feel it's important that we reserve that seat and allow Pocopson to actually advertise for it. They have put out an advertisement in their, I guess, their little, local newsletter, whatever I'm sure they don't call it a little newsletter. They should probably have some other name for it, but they have put out an advertisement. We have not had anyone who has been approached, and we would obviously want them to go through the normal vetting process and, be put before an actual, interview as everybody else who has been on the board has done. But we would ask that you not advertise it to the general just yet until Pocopson has time to identify some folks who might like to interview for that. Questions about that?
I mean, I think that makes sense. It's 11 out of 13 right now.
11 out of 13. So it's technically 12, 11 out of 12, because we are down one seat. And frankly, Pocopson has provided us our treasurer. Their past two board members were actually the treasurers for the library. So we're in a position of, many of us on the board are also, the board is also overrepresented by lawyers. And we don't do numbers. So we would really like for Pocopson to give us another treasurer. And we would really like to leave that seat open and try to identify somebody who's from that township.
Great. Any issues with that?
Yeah, just one question. So why Pocopson as opposed to any of the other towns?
We would, Pocopson is also this goes to the internal workings of the library. Pocopson is also serviced by Kennett Square Library. And in case you didn't know, Kennett has a big, beautiful plan for a gigantic library that they may or may not have hit their funding on, and may have fundraised enough to build that big, beautiful, gigantic library. And we have a fear that Pocopson may say, well, all of our residents are just going to go use that big, beautiful library. We're not going to give any more money to the Westchester Public Library. And they could do that. So that does go to how we would like to encourage them to remain involved and feel represented, and therefore still give that $9,000 a year. Potentially more in future years. We always ask for more.
Any other questions? I mean, I think that makes sense. Is that something we're okay with doing internally? Is that fine? Okay, yeah, great. As long as that, makes sense. Do you want to give it like 2 months, a month? What
That
are you
would be,
thinking?
yeah, let's, if we could, 2 months. And then, Dana, I know was speaking with our chair of the governance committee, Deborah Anea. So I know that they have a very good line of communication. So if I need to come back, I'll come back.
Good. Yeah, fine by me. 2 months makes sense. Is this something we want to kick to Tuesday or handle that internally? All right, sounds good. Yeah, we can wait.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Any other business tonight? Alrighty, seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 5:48. Thanks.